Hi everyone, how are you? I thought I would record a little video just to help calm people down a bit on the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak and also share some of my thoughts as a parent coach and someone who's worked with parents and children for, gosh, over 40 years. My name is Susan Stiffelman. I'm the author of Parenting Without Power Struggles and Parenting with Presence. And I always try to support parents in forging honest, close, deep, trustworthy, loving relationships with their kids, whether your kids are small and little tiny, or they're big and tall and grown up, or semi on the way. So let me just share some things, and I'm going to start by saying I am totally not an expert on coronavirus. I am not a source of information for you on the virus itself or any of the facts and figures associated with it. What I can do is help you get comfortable with talking with your children because they have questions. It's very hard these days to shield our children from the bombarding media onslaught, especially when we ourselves are anxious and concerned about something that's going on in the news. So let's talk about how we can hold ourselves so that we are able to be lovingly, calmly, that captain of the ship that I talk about in my work, that calm presence that allays our kids' fears and concerns, and if nothing else, brings them out into the open so they can do less harm than when they're buried and repressed. The first thing, of course, is to get your own questions answered, to find out from a grounded, reliable news source what the facts are in your community, and not to kind of engage your children in conversations that suggest to them that you really are at a loss and don't know what's going on and your hair's on fire. Because our kids are highly attuned to our mood and our concerns. It's a survival mechanism. Our children are so reliant on us for their survival that they are watching us very, very carefully about how to feel about things. And when we are presenting important and sometimes difficult information to them, but in a way that kind of we're embodying a sense of alpha, we're a sense of, you know what, there are things that we sometimes find difficulty dealing with in life, but we got this, we're sturdy, we're strong. And I always look at these difficult moments in time or these challenges in life as opportunities for us to fortify our children, because we can't prevent them from going through difficult things, try as we might. We're not able to kind of pad the room of their life so that they never encounter things that are scary or worrisome or out of their control or things like that. But what we can do is use these kind of situations to model for them our own ability to inhabit a place of sturdiness in the face of the uncertainty and the unknowns that many of us are experiencing right now. So don't be afraid to talk with your kids about this virus. They need to be able to come to you. Who else? Who better for them to come to than you? Otherwise, it's always going to be their friends or their peers, or they're going to be snooping around online depending on their age, and we don't know what they're going to learn, because as I just recorded a podcast this morning for my podcast, Parenting Without Power Struggles, with my son, Ari Anderson, about a series he's just put on called Everything They Know. And, there's a lot out there that we need to educate ourselves about in terms of the things our kids are encountering when they wander over to YouTube or TikTok. So I hope you'll listen to that. And I want to just encourage you to start by not overloading your kids with information. Always ask your children, what have they heard? What have you heard about the virus? Because typically they'll bring it up. Mommy, Daddy, what about that scary virus? Are we all going to get sick? Is Grandma going to die? Are you going to die? Remember that especially younger children are quite egocentric. So like it or not, a lot of their motivation and curiosity is built on one primary aim, which is that nobody they love, including themselves, gets sick or dies. That there's a self-preservation in children that it's just how they're wired. It takes front and center. So they may be worried and they may come to you, or they may not, and you might, if you see that they've been stewing on something or hinting at something, well, have you heard something about this virus? Chances are they have if they're out in the world, they go to school. Somebody says, thank you for sharing information on this tough topic. Yes, you're welcome. I'm so happy to be able to offer something, whatever it is. And if you do have a comment or question, please feel free to put it in the comment box if you're watching this live. So ask them what they've heard and listen. First and foremost, listen to what they've heard and don't interrupt. Don't give advice. Don't minimize what they're saying. Oh, Johnny doesn't know anything. Just listen. And then always thank your children when they've confided in you. Always thank them for telling you, in this case, what they've heard about the virus or what they're afraid of, so that we create the space for them to feel confident that whatever they're going through, whatever it is, we are the ones that they can come to, that they can turn to get help untangling life's challenges. And then offer to answer their questions and tell them that you're not the expert, but that you're looking into it and you're making sure that you're still educating yourself regularly with reliable information. And some of you might find that that's the World Health Organization or the CDC. Others have other resources, so I won't comment on where you should get your information, but just look for reliable sources that are telling you, the whole picture as best you can. And then, of course, make that age appropriate for your kids. So you might say to a younger child, well, yes, the coronavirus is a flu. It's a new kind of flu. It spreads easily, so people are being extra careful because we don't know that much about how it spreads, but there are some things that we're able to do to make sure that even if we get it, it's more like a not feeling well for a few days. But there are we know that children don't typically get this virus, and healthy grown-ups don't really get it, or they don't really get sick. There are some people who are vulnerable, and of course, only if they ask, well, would grandma get it? I heard old people might get it. You could say, well, there are some people who are being extra careful because their immune system isn't as sturdy. And to help those people, we're doing things that not only help us, but help them. And that means we practice really good hygiene. Sweetheart, do you know what hygiene means? So that might be a new conversation if they don't know. Well, it means that we help manage all the germs that are circulating in the world, circulating between people, especially when there's viruses or bugs or colds or flus going around. And here are some of the things that we can do. You ready, sweetheart? So always check in with them. Always make sure that they're listening. We can wash our hands really well. The germs don't like it when you wash your hands. They get mad and go, no, don't wash me down the drain. Again, you won't do this with your 15-year-old, but you might with your 6-year-old. So you may have heard that one of the great ways to practice hand washing is to wash your hands with soap and water to the tune of Happy Birthday, the Happy Birthday song twice. So that's something kids can definitely kind of have some fun with, and you can make it fun. You can talk about other things like we're not going to be sharing cups or glasses or forks and knives with other people. We're just sort of sticking, keeping extra clean. We're getting enough sleep. That's very important. So our immune systems are sturdy and strong. If you have to cough, we cough into a tissue and then we throw it straight into the trash. Or if you don't have a tissue, you cough into your elbow so that the germs don't spread. Because even if you don't get sick, sweetie, we want to make sure that the people around us are safe as well. If we're sick or we don't feel well, we stay home and we stay away from people who aren't feeling well. And here's the tricky part, honey. We try not to touch our face. And you know what? It's not so easy. And in this one, you can make it a game. You can say, okay, let's see how we all do for the next 5 minutes, and you can set the timer. And this is something you can just start implementing. It's generally a good practice, a health practice, not just in the face of the virus, but in general. We are so unaware of how often we touch our faces. So you can sort of track that and see how many times you unconsciously make that move. Now, when you've had this conversation, be sure to lighten things up. Be sure not to leave things with sort of a somber, onerous, sort of fearful tone. Like, well, we will do our best, but rather, play, laugh, have a cuddle, kind of, make sure that the association with these kinds of conversations is positive. And then here are a few general guidelines, things that we know comfort children immensely in the face of unknowns, whether that's been something awful that's happened in the news or something, in the environment, like a disaster, like a flood or, a fire. What we know is really helpful to children is to stick to routines. So that means they go to bed at the same time, they still have to brush their teeth, they still have to do their homework, so that we're maintaining that continuity with normal life. Do keep the TV off, especially with younger kids. It just doesn't help them to be kind of on the receiving end of all this information. And remember that there's both important information being shared on the news, and also that the networks are selling advertising, and that this is a newsworthy topic that gets eyeballs. So, watch and inform yourself, but maybe not with your kids in the room. And then again, reassure your kids that you're doing all kinds of things to stay healthy, and that viruses are part of being a human being, that sometimes they take new forms, and that the more we take care of ourselves and practice good hygiene and strengthen our immune system with good healthy food and lots of water and sleep, that people are built to endure. And now the last thing, again, just I want to reiterate, is if you're worried, if you're anxious, talk to someone. Have someone that you trust, who's a grown-up, who you can bounce your concerns or fears against, who you can express your worries to in an unbridled, censored way, to get them off your chest and to get the kind of comfort and support that you need. We are all in this stuff together. I mean, never, when we encounter these kinds of difficult challenges in our lives, it just reinforces for me how interrelated we are, how much we want to rely on each other and support each other, how much we need each other, even as we practice this social distancing, that there are ways that we want to stay connected. And if you are not able to get out as much as normal, then consider doing more FaceTime with your relatives, your loved ones, maybe with your kids' friends. I'm thinking of having a little kind of Zoom party with some of our friends who we want to get together with, just to laugh and tell some jokes, or, I'll bet you could come up with some very creative ways of playing charades on FaceTime or Zoom. So we'll get through. We don't know a whole lot still. We're still finding out, but I have great faith in all of you to support your kids as they deal with, an unexpected left turn. This is the kind of thing that helps our kids ultimately discover that they can live through difficulties and challenges, and our blessed job and role in their lives is to model for them how to do that, how to approach challenges and unknowns with grace and confidence and information. So thanks for the hearts, you guys. I'm so glad that you're with us. Thanks for having us in Germany. You're so welcome. And I'm going to be sending a newsletter out tomorrow. If you're not already getting it, you can go to susanstiffelman.com and sign up for the free newsletter, and I'll have another article about this, as well as just some general things that I think are supportive to the amazing job that you're doing raising these beautiful beings. As I mentioned, I got to do a podcast this morning, which we'll be releasing this week, for parenting without power struggles with my 29-year-old son. And I'm still talking to him every day, or a few times a day. He called me last night with some updates. So, there's something very touching about this, traveling the journey with our children, whatever age they are, and just loving them so much and wanting them to be safe and happy, and also recognizing that in the end, we want to empower them to make good decisions for their lives. So I wish you all my best, and I look forward to staying in touch. We have a class next week on playful parenting with Dr. Lawrence Cohen. So we'll be releasing information about that really soon. And I think we're going to have some fun and talk about how to lighten things up a little bit, especially in times like this. So have a wonderful week, and I wish you all my best.